What up, what up, what up, everybody? It's your girl, Natalie Redd. Welcome to the ReddZone Live. That's right here on Facebook and on YouTube. Tell a friend to join in because tonight's guest, trust me, you're going to love it. You're going to love it. I've known him now for quite some time. He's straight off the East Coast, straight out of Connecticut, you all. Promise you. He is an artist. He is a musician, one of the baddest bassists I know on the East Coast. And his beard just make you want to pull it. But he is my boy, my dude, with songs like, believe it or not, Ain't Nobody. And you got to check it out because the way he remade that, it touched me. And you know how I feel about Shaka. Then there's Say Something featuring Ashley Jones. He's also part of a group that put out a holiday song a couple of years back. The group was Five Moments. And these guys make up are Nate Barnes, V. Wayne Patrick, Dave Davis, saxophonist Dave Davis, so don't get that confused with the singer Dave Davis, Rasan Langley, and ladies and gentlemen, my guest is none other than Mr. Lawrence V. White, aka LV. Welcome to the Red Zone, ladies and gentlemen. Lawrence V. White. What up, LV? Oh, it zoomed out on me. Hold on. There we go. It keeps zooming out. My bad.
That's all right.
Me and my fat fingers. What's up, LV?
What's going on, Nat? It's so good to see you.
It's good to see you. It's good to see you. Welcome to the Red Zone Live,
Thank
boo.
you. Thank you so much.
I'm so used to being on the opposite side of you when it
Tell you.
comes to music. So to be on this side where I get to question you about some things, hey, I'm
It should
looking
be
forward to
interesting.
it. And I
Absolutely.
believe it will. I believe it will. So for the next 20-25 minutes, the people are going to get to know Lawrence V. White, what his music is about, who he is about, far as music, his instrumentation, and whatever else that you want to share. So,
Cool.
in 30 seconds, tell the people about Lawrence V. White.
Okay. So my name is Lawrence V. White. I'm from originally from Waterbury, Connecticut, and now live in the Hartford area in Windsor. And been a musician, been playing since I was about 5 years old. And first started with drums, kind of matriculated through a whole bunch of instruments, piano, guitar, saxophone, all the way up to bass. And bass is where that kind of landed home for me. So that was kind of the thing that kind of what I was hearing all that time. And that's kind of what I've been doing, and honestly, just supporting a lot of people like yourself, and really just kind of being in the background, being that person who is either there as a musician, director, producer, bassist, whatever's needed, but decided to kind of step out there and do a couple projects myself. So some of
Oh,
them you named, and I've done definitely had a lot of fun doing them, and really just that's the main thing is that it's in your heart to do. So just getting out there and putting it out there so other people could hear it.
well, I'm glad that you did because uh, whether you all do it or not, those who do know Lawrence knows his abilities as a musician. Lawrence is a very, very laid back cat, laid back. I mean, I've performed with him several times on several different occasions. I've yet to see Lawrence do that bass man rock. Anybody knows a bassist, they all got a rock.
I'm getting
Lawrence
there.
is one that hasn't got it yet. But that's okay. I'm gonna catch him in that rock one day.
Between you and me, y'all in the back of my head whenever I'm playing, like I guess I got to move a little bit to show I'm on stage.
Well, before we get heavy off into your music, your new project, I
Yes,
love the title of that project. So
thank
we're
you.
gonna we're gonna talk about that in a little bit, along
Cool.
with the song that was first released off of it, which is Touchdown.
Yep.
I really want to know the background on it. But before we go into that, I'm going to share a little bit of what I know when it comes to Lawrence.
Cool.
Um, Now, if any of you have checked out any of my music, especially Given Up. Given Up was a song that's very dear to me. And when creating it, I could hear the bass line in my head.
Mhm.
But when Lawrence add his spin to it, that right there brought it home for me. It's such a joy to be able to connect with you artistically.
Man,
You gave it life.
thank you so much.
I greatly appreciate it.
I'm glad to hear
The
that.
one thing I could say when it comes to basses, I love all instruments. Don't get me wrong, love all
Yep.
instrumentations. But bass hits home for me because my dad was a bass player.
What? Okay.
And to hear someone play bass, I always close my eyes so I can focus in on it. And if
Wow.
you ever notice, I don't think you ever paid attention, but if you ever notice, I looked at the bass player and I would always smile. The
Yep.
reason why I would smile is because I can hear my dad. So
Wow. That's
that right
amazing.
there, that's a beautiful thing for me. So I greatly appreciate you putting the touches on Getaway,
No
the
problem.
touches on Giving Up, and just being a part of my life as a musician and brother in Christ. So I appreciate
Yeah.
that.
No problem. It's an honor.
So let's get into the nitty gritty.
Yes.
So let me ask you a question. Now, you said growing up that you tried various different instruments until you found
Yep.
that particular one. What particular song was it that caused you to be interested? Do you recall the song that caused you to be interested in music as a whole?
Oh man, that's a good question. So I would have to say what kind of rings out, and it's a good segue from what you said, like just being a brother in Christ. Like when I think about it, I grew up in the church, so a lot of the instruments that I played were a necessity of, let's say, whatever was missing in service.
Mm-hmm.
So when I started playing drums, it was only because we didn't have a drummer at the time. So when I started playing bass, that was right around I was about freshman year of high school, early '90s. So Hezekiah, James Hall,
Mm,
all of those people were very, heavy in that time. So I would have to say, going back to like, um, I will go in Jesus' name.
mm.
So, and a lot of those songs, I think that's Reggie Parker and Reggie Young were the bass players for those projects. A lot of them have like bass intros. So
Okay.
I can listen to them, especially what's the song? Trying to think of it. And this is the song that I think it's off of James Hall's record, King of Glory.
Mm.
King of Glory. So if you listen to that, the intro off of that was probably the first thing that I ever learned on bass.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Wow. Wow. Now, when it comes to basses, I
Hmm.
hear a lot of them talk about Marcus Miller.
For sure.
A lot of Marcus has a stamp on everything. Who would you say is your influence?
My influence, and honestly, Marcus was heavy in my house. My aunt probably wouldn't take she probably wouldn't take credit for it now, but like she put me in front of like a lot of like jazz. So Chick Corea. So you got John Patitucci. Growing up, even things like the Weather Report. I would say now my influences are more people who are super well rounded. Nathan East
Mm,
is one of my favorites. People might know him from like Foreplay. Pretty much anything that you listen to from like '77 through like all the way up to now, you're gonna hear Nathan East.
mm.
Like currently, you know him from like Daft Punk from Get Lucky. He's the bass
Okay.
player on that. So,
Okay.
um, but yeah, Nathan East. Another huge influence is Ricky Minor. So Ricky Minor was a bass player for like Whitney for a long time. Uh,
Okay.
he did the live show for the Super Bowl for Whitney, and he was on American Idol for a long time. So those are my two favorite bass players right now, just because they're super well rounded. People know them. Everybody kind of talk about them that they're super easy to work with, super professional. Those are the kind of things that I like right now.
Ah, that's awesome. That's awesome. And now, how would you describe your music?
My music, so I really try to keep it just that. Try to keep it very musical. And today's, I would say, especially, I would say over the last 15 years or so, music kind of got to this place where it was super sterile. Things were
Mm,
just everything was in the box. It just didn't have the life. It didn't have the dynamics. So I really try to keep real musicians involved. Try to stay away from programming as much as possible. I
Mm-hmm.
think in my whole catalog, I might have maybe two or three songs where there's no actual live drums on it, and it's just programmed.
Mm-hmm.
So I try to keep live music involved in it, but it was really I have a pretty, like, I would say, a really wide catalog as far as what's available. A majority of it, I would say, is probably about 60 to 70% R&B influence. The rest, you might have an inspirational song. I have a couple Christmas songs, as you talked about earlier.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely a wide variety, but the main focus is just keeping it musical.
Ah, see, I like the way you said that. Keeping it musical, and
Yes.
that's the thing. So many, I would say this the new age.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the newbies. They are so boxed.
Yep.
They are really boxed. There's no thinking outside of the box. We got to
Right.
keep it right here because this is where I'm comfortable with.
Yep.
And I try to tell them if you're staying in that comfort zone,
Mm-hmm.
you are blocking your blessings. You're locking your creative side,
Right.
and that's not a good thing because you
Mm-mm.
as an artist, it's it's with you. It's with
Yep.
you when you're asleep at 2, 3 in the morning, and it will wake you up, causing you to write.
Yep. Definitely.
So don't lock that part of your life down. That is crazy. That is so crazy.
And you said it best too, like, with bringing other people in, sometimes you have something in your head, and when you bring in that right person to kind of contribute to that song, kind of brings that song to a whole nother level. You bring in maybe a saxophonist, or you bring in a bass player, or a drummer, whatever, and they add a little bit more than maybe what you could have imagined. So
Hmm.
that's the thing that I think that's missing sometimes from this current music. Everybody's just doing stuff. You're locked in your basement. You're locked in a studio by yourself. It's one or two people, and there's no collab, anything like that. It's just you by yourself.
No, you're recording on the Garage Band app, and and okay, I did this. Now I'm going to upload it and watch me explode. No,
Exactly.
sweetie, it doesn't work that way. It
Exactly.
really does take work, and people for some reason just don't like to. Well, the newbies,
Right.
they want to be entrepreneurs, but they don't want to take the steps that it
Yeah.
takes to get there.
Yep.
That's the sad part. Where's the work ethic? Where's the
Right.
work ethic?
Right.
So since the pandemic,
Yep.
what have you been doing? Because I know it caused a lot of us to shut down, and some of us artistically, music is your sole income, and this, that, and the
Right.
other. So how did you handle the
Yeah.
pandemic?
Yeah, it was interesting because honestly, I would say prior to the pandemic, if you had asked me, if there was ever going to be a time where there was no live music, there was no concerts, not even, your A-list artist, Beyonce or anyone like that could do a concert, like, I would have said, "Nah, you're crazy. You're crazy. That's never going to happen. Like, they're going to make a way for somebody to do a concert." So, I mean, with that said, I mean, I would say in the span of the what we're going probably now into the 17th month of the pandemic or something
Mm-hmm.
like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I would probably say in the span of that time, I've probably done as many shows as I've done in a week, like at top time. Like if it's a summertime, you can
Mm-hmm.
do sometimes three shows in a day.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's like over that span of time, I probably played maybe 20 times in that 17 months.
Oh,
And
well,
it
you
was
did better
rough.
than me. You did better than me.
It was rough.
Yeah, it truly was a rough time. However, though, you did, and knowing you,
Yeah.
you took that opportunity
Yes.
to work on your creativity. So I
Absolutely.
know you that person. Shout out to Trev. What's up, Trevor
Yes.
Pitts?
Yes.
Pitts campaign. Shout out to my manager, Mr. James Hollins. Thank you for
Nice.
tuning in. Jamarco Management, appreciate you, appreciate you. So with that being said, let's move on to the creativity of
Yeah.
Mr. Lawrence V. White. Now, ladies and gentlemen, Those of you who have tuned into the Red Zone over the course of the past month, you've heard that song. And I
Mhm.
love this song because it has a powerful punch straight out the gate. And it is none other than Touchdown. We're going to
Nice.
give it to you.
That's it.
So, and that's featuring Tang Sauce himself. And
Yep.
I love it because it has an eclectic feel to it,
Yep.
very eclectic. Is it?
Thank you.
You want to talk about out the box? It's out the box because that song can easily go from jazz to um, club mix
Yeah. Yep.
and can be transformed to rap, which it does have rap in it.
Yep.
So it that's a song that's very versatile,
Right.
very versatile.
Thank you so much.
So how did Touchdown come about?
Honestly, and that's a good like segue into your last question, or I should say that's a nice dovetail from that. So I mean, I would say about month 3, around about July, after finally setting in, like, okay, we're gonna be home for a while. Like, this is not going anywhere. Like, I honestly started to think, and I was in this routine of getting up Sundays. I would, usually I would be up Sundays anyway for church anyway, but
Mm.
I would say after church ended, we would do our live stream. I would usually be on the deck, and I'll probably be on the deck for usually for the good majority of the day just to kind of get outside, get some sunshine. So really, the whole project was birthed out of just kind of listening to good music during that time. And I said, you know what? I've always wanted to do a house, like kind of like a house club type of record or an EP. And I reached out to one of my boys, and he was like, "Let's do it. Like, what else do we have to do?" So, so he jumped on board, and honestly, I ended up. So really, it came out of a situation where one of my family members, it was with my mom. Shout out to her if she's watching. Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday, mom!
Yes, yes. So she really kind of took the horns of kind of like being almost like the matriarch of the family, and she called everybody to pray for my niece. My niece was struggling with a rare birth disorder, and
Wow,
kind of wanted everybody to kind of take a whole day of prayer. Everybody take a hour, and I ended up choosing between 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning. So prayed the hour, and I was still up. I was like, what am I gonna do now? Might as well stay up. Ended up like getting some coffee, put some coffee on, and I ended up staying up for from 4 o'clock in the morning all the way to 10 o'clock at night. Pumped out about 5 or 6 songs
wow.
in that amount of time.
That's a lot of working.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, I was laser focused. Some people definitely would attribute it to the prayer, but it was definitely something that was inside of me to do for a long time. Me and my co-producer, we had talked about this so many times over probably the last like 20 years. We're gonna do a project. We're gonna do a project, and this pandemic kind of made the opportunity and the time for it.
It really did.
Yep.
It honestly did. It honestly did. And I appreciate when artists, producers, musicians, when we all can actually just get together and become that one
Yep.
musically. I appreciate it. So the title of the new project. Now the
Yes.
project was just released what this past weekend, right?
Yep. So it came out. The official release date was the Friday before summer. I think that was June 19th.
Hmm.
So basically, the title's called Sunday at about 1:30 BPM.
I love that title because I'm like, when I saw it, I'm like, okay, so what's going on Sunday at about 1:30? And then
There
I,
you go.
I, I failed to look at the BPM. I said, so I'm sitting there going, what's going on
No,
about Sunday? Right? And I happened to look at the beep. I said, isn't he clever?
you did it right. That's exactly what I wanted. So honestly, and like the way I told the story, that thought of what ended up happening and how it came out was right around that time. I was like, okay, that's perfect. Might as well name it that.
Ah, look at there. That see, and that's a perfect title. That is a
Thank you.
perfect title. Now you have some songs on there. It is 4 songs, the EP of 4 songs,
Yep.
and 2 songs that I'm really feeling. It's Workout
Okay. Yep.
and Beach Drive.
Yes.
Now, Workout, when I listened to it, I could tell you exactly what it put me in the mind of.
Okay.
The day-to-day hustle and bustle.
Yes.
For those of you who are living in the inner city and you go by train, whether
Yep.
it's Metro, Amtrak, or if you take the bus or you stuck in traffic, it reminds me of the day to day hustle
Nice.
and bustle. I
Nice.
said, okay, yeah, all right, I get it. So we can either work out in a gym or we can work it out in traffic or
That's
work it
right.
out on the train. Either way, we got to get it worked out. So I
That's
get
it.
it. I get it. I get it. Now, Beach Drive,
Hmm.
I don't know if you were thinking this,
Hmm.
but it reminded me of Thriller.
You know what? When I heard the chords come back, because when I made it and I sent it out to the co-producer, his name is JLC Moore. He might be watching as well. I sent it to him, and when he sent, like, that was kind of the vibe I was getting. That was kind of gave him. And when it came back, I was like, people might say this sounds like Mike a little bit. But once I kind of played them side by side, all right, it's enough not to get into a Pharrell situation.
Oh,
So
of
we're
course,
good.
yeah. We don't want that.
Exactly.
Oh
But
no.
no, like you said, it does give that vibe of kind of like almost like a Thriller vibe. Rod Temperton, the producer from Off the Wall, like that same type of feel.
Yeah, it really does. And I was saying, you know what? I need to put a bug in LV's ear
Come
and let
on.
him know that he needs to go ahead and get that song. You need to get that song registered with these various different companies that do soundtracks for movies. So
Nice.
that song needs to be registered. Actually, the whole EP needs to be registered.
Thank
But
you.
that song can easily be put into several horror flicks.
Say less. I'll do it.
It
I'll do that
really
tomorrow.
needs to. Yes, put it out there. Put it out there. Registered because I'm sitting there listening to it, and I had to rewind, and I'm going. Are my eyes closed and I'm bopping and I'm going, okay, okay, okay,
Yep.
okay. And I'm going, what horror flick is this? What horror flick is this? Oh, this is a horror flick. I can
Yep.
hear it. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I'm putting that
Thank
bug in
you.
your ear. But
Yeah,
they're
appreciate it.
both great Miami. That's what I was trying to think. The Miami bass sound. They are
Nice.
both great club mixes. The whole EP is a great club mix,
Thank
the
you.
entire EP. So yeah, you need to pitch that to the Miami DJs too. So you are Miami DJs, you listening, and yes, trust me, this will be played in my Florida area because I got a couple stations that plays there too. So yeah,
Nice.
you Miami
Nice.
DJs, I'm coming for you. We need to get this in some clubs. Trust me,
Thank
you're
you.
gonna love it. You're gonna love it. Now, this project, because I
Yep.
heard you say co-produce,
Yep.
so you have producer credits on this.
Yes. Yep. So, uh,
Wow, I never took you as a producer.
yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Yep.
go LV.
Thank you so much. I know I had so I arranged, the whole thing. So basically came up with all the arrangements, but definitely wanted to have a little bit more of just a little bit more variety than just myself. I wanted to have some more contributions. So my boy JL Seymour, he is a area musician from like the Connecticut area, really more known for like gospel stuff. So this is kind of like a stretch for him, but definitely came on board. He's more like a writer. I would definitely say more like a writer. His main thing is really just doing more like, I would say like positive speaking, things like that. So came on board, and all the keys that you hear, I would say for the exception of the last song, which has Wayne on it,
Mm.
it's mostly my boy JL Seymour.
Oh wow,
Yep.
wow! And shout out to Wayne Breezy.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
yes, that is my boy. And speaking of my Florida people, Gary Palmer. Shout out to Gary Palmer, great saxophonist.
Oh,
He's
that's what's
he
up.
is he is also a radio host
Okay.
for WRBD. So I will be sending you that. Do you hear
Thank
me,
you.
Gary?
Thank you,
Sending it
Gary.
to you. And he's straight out of Florida. So yeah,
Nice.
that's that sound.
Perfect.
So now, speaking of production,
Yep.
I've noticed, and I've even talked to Wayne. I've talked to even Chris Big Dog Davis.
Hmm.
I've even talked to Jerome Pitts. Shout out to Jerome Pitts,
Hey.
and even Kurt.
Yep.
I've talked to several different producers in regards to um, the production side versus the on the road side.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of them are wanting to pull back from that on the road side.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
I'm the same. I mean, when I was younger, I was like, I want to be on the road 24/7. Like, I want to do, I want to be out here hitting shows all the time. But as you get settled, you get a family. I got married, got a daughter. You want to be home. You start to, especially over that last year. I think the last year kind of propelled that because you were so used to being at home now. You probably did some renovations and things like that. So you want to be home to enjoy that stuff and just kind of chill out. So, I love the road. I love the stage. I love being able to have that interaction with the artists and the crowd. But yeah, love producing, love being at home, bringing people in. Let's kind of collab here and there, things like that.
Speaking now, going a little further on the producer side, working with various different vocalists. Now,
Yes.
me and Wayne, me and Jerome, I can. They tell me where they want me to go, I'll go there. It's no problem because they'll hear something different from what I hear.
Yep. Yep.
So it's no easy. It's not a problem for me to maneuver.
Right.
You as a producer, what is the most difficult thing for you when it comes to working with vocalists?
Man, I just had this. I just had this conversation recently. So with the vocalist, I mean, honestly, it's really I would have to say it's really just having a mindset to be open. And I mean, you pretty much just said it yourself, like having a mindset when you come in to be open minded as far as, what you're going to deliver. I know just as a bass player, coming into a situation where somebody else is producing, a lot of times I've been in scenarios where they won't even send you the music because they don't want you to come in with like this fixed mindset of what you're gonna do. You show up to the studio, they'll play you the song, and they say, "Okay, I'm gonna record," and you just play what you hear and what you feel. And sometimes that's actually, I mean, it's scary. You're not. I like to be prepared. Like to have like a little idea, at least what key it's in, how fast it's gonna be. But sometimes you kind of lock yourself into the situation where that's all you got. So
Yeah.
it's like going into scenarios where vocalists have kind of already, because I had a scenario like that recently and even in the past where I recorded the vocals and I had to go back and I had to just scrap the vocals and say, okay, you know what, we're gonna try this one more time, but this time just come in, don't even think about the original recording, especially like with all the cover stuff that I've done.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, like Shaka Khan's a powerhouse. So
Mm-hmm.
automatically, if you're a singer, you might come in thinking that you need to sound like Shaka. That's not going to
No.
happen.
No.
That's not going to happen. So you got to sound like you and, come in open minded that, we might have some other tweaks that we can fit in here to make you be your best self. So that's usually like the big struggle.
Ah, yeah, yeah. I heard that. I've heard that. I've heard that. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are singers, do me a favor. When you go into these studios and you're working with various different producers, be open minded. That's all I have to say.
Minded.
Because trust me, they will quickly say, yeah, you might want to take that elsewhere
Right.
if it's your project. Now, if it's their project, they'll say, well, I think I'm going to go a different route.
Ooh, it's a
That's
bad
not a good
feeling.
thing you want to hear.
It's a
No, it's
bad
not a
feeling.
feeling that it's not a good feeling at all. Well, ladies and gent, our time has come. But before we go, I just want to remind you to be on the lookout for LV's new project
Hmm.
titled Sunday at about 1:30 BPM. Don't look
Yes.
for 1:30 PM now.
Right.
BPM.
BPM.
BPM, beats per minute. Look
Yes.
for that.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Okay, it's you can find it on iTunes.
Yeah, everywhere.
You
So,
can find it wherever there's streaming music.
yep,
You can find it.
yep,
And Lawrence, if you would please tell them where they can find you on social media.
absolutely. So I'm Lawrence V White on everything except for Facebook. Facebook, I'm Lawrence.v.white and also under Lawrence V White Music. But everywhere else, Twitter, Instagram, Bandcamp, everywhere else is Lawrence V White. That's V as in Victor. I do have a website. All the links are there too. So if you just go to lawrencevwhite.com, all the links for the music, any upcoming projects, even a lot of Natalie stuff is on there. I have a whole playlist of songs that I've done with other people as far as just being a bassist. So definitely, and if you would like to, I mean, leave me, send a DM, send a message, let me know, so give me some feedback, let me know what you think.
All right. Well, Lawrence, Thank you so much for joining me in the
Thank
Red
you for
Zone
having me.
Live. Ladies and gents, just know that you can catch this video. If you happen to miss it, you can catch it. It will be on my Facebook page until Facebook say, okay, we need to remove it. However, you can also go to the Natalie Redd channel on YouTube and you can catch it there. Also, next week, look forward to hearing the interview replayed there as well, as long as far as also along with some of Lawrence's music, not just a song. I'm gonna pull out some stuff for you.
I'm excited.
So I'm excited about this. Lawrence, thank you so much for taking the time out to
Thank you for
join me.
having me. Thank you for having me.
You all take it light, be blessed. Remember, stay safe. And I know they say we can remove masks, but I'm sorry, the CDC is telling me differently. So
Right.
masks up
Right.
and continue to enjoy the vibe. Deuces, y'all.
All
Good
right.
night.
Good night.